Who the Wild Things Are with Ryan McGuire.
You gotta listen to your body.
Oh my God, maybe, I could get out there, I could do this.
Let's take a ride, find your wild side, real stories, see with your own eyes.
It's so beautiful.
I'm gonna have the best time out here.
I was in tears. I was just like, that's the best, man.
Welcome back to Who the Wild Things Are. My name is Ryan McGuire, and I'm here to bring you conversations with the most wild folks on the planet. If you're enjoying the podcast, please leave us a rating and review on your podcast platform of choice. And if you enjoyed the episode, share it with a friend. Appreciate you guys. Let's get it going. What's going on, guys? Today's episode is brought to you by the fine folks at Blokes. Blokes is a men's health company that specializes in hormone health, weight loss, sexual health, longevity, all those sorts of things where you feel like something might be a little bit off. Blokes is here to help. They provide labs and blood work. They can help you test your testosterone levels or different biomarkers so that you can be at your best and show up as the ultimate version of yourself. They provide one-on-one health coaching and the ability to meet with a board-certified doctor in order to correct those things that might be going wrong in your body. If you want to get some blood work done, get your labs done, go ahead and go to blokes.co or check the show notes for more info. Once again, that's blokes.co. Also, get Blokes on Instagram. Thank you guys so much. Let's do the show. Well, Jason, thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for making the drive down.
Yeah.
I know it was a little bit of a haul, but you guys made it all right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just from Colorado Springs, so it's not really too terribly bad. We were up at camp, which is up near Cripple Creek.
Right.
Day before yesterday, and we just wrapped up a class, but it's not really.
So tell people a little bit about the classes that you're talking about and give them a little bit of background into who is Jason and what is kind of like the Survival University.
Okay, so yeah, I'm Jason Marsteiner. I was born here in Colorado, down at Air Force Academy, down in Colorado Springs. Originally, I started out as Colorado Mountain Man Survival in 2010. I don't know, we can dive into that if you want to, but 2015, I started the Survival University, and it really took off in 2019 and just started growing. But I guess step back to Colorado Mountain Man Survival. A lot of people want to know how I got into this, how I started doing it. A lot of people assume I'm military. I'm not. I grew up. I was born on the Air Force Academy. My dad was in the Air Force, obviously. My mom in the Air Force. But we moved up to Cripple Creek, which is just west of Colorado Springs, up in the mountains when I was fourth grade, whatever age that is. Yeah. And just was playing out in the woods a lot, and what everybody else was, what's now is, survival and prepping and bushcrafting is just what I did as a kid. Right. So I worked in the tourist industry up there, and I worked in the gold mine, and I worked in construction. I'm kind of a jack of all trades, and for long story short, I worked corporate America. I'm a computer geek. That's what I did for 18 years. I worked for Verizon, nothing to do with the cell phones. I was system administrator, did computer geek stuff. But any chance, I hated being inside, but it paid the bills, Sure. Any chance I get, I'd go outside and play out in the woods. And in 2010, I realized that what I grew up doing was what all the cool kids were doing and what they wanted to know, or what people wanted to know. But really, what I started out in 2010 selling gear. So really boring. I hated it, but kind of what got me going. I'll just go into the story. To me, it's a little boring, but I worked in this office building, and I had to go through 5 locked doors with a badge to get sit behind my computer. I had super user access to Verizon servers. I could shut down the company, but boring crap. Anyways, one of my coworkers is Mormon, and he came in to work one day with these buckets full of food, and he was like, "Hey man, can you help me eat this food? It's from my 72-hour kit, my bug out bag." And I'm like, what the heck is a "It's a 72-hour kit in a bug out bag." And he started explaining it to me. I'm like, "Oh, I've got one of those. I got one in my car. I got stuff at my home." I didn't know it had a name.
Right.
It's just what you do when you grow up in a small mountain town. You have all the stuff with you at all times, and you know how to use it. To me, it's just common sense, And I was like, doesn't everybody have this stuff in their house, in their car? And he's like, "No, man. In the government, FEMA, and all this stuff, they tell you to have all these things." I'm like, "Oh, well, I didn't know that there was rules. It was just what we do in a small town." So I started researching these bug out bags and these survival kits and 72-hour kits, and I figured they're all over the internet, and they're selling for $100, $200, $300 a piece. I was like, these people selling these kits are professionals, so they must know more than me.
Right.
I want to supplement my survival kits with what I'm going to get out of these awesome commercialized kits. So I ordered a bunch for my house and my car and everybody that I was associated with, and everything that came to me was garbage.
Really?
There was stuff that was broken or not working, or it was just junk.
Yeah.
It was just gimmicky garbage that people were trying to make a quick buck on. So I did some research, and I basically created a better bug out bag, a better survival kit, and started selling them on eBay. And I was selling them. They were selling like hotcakes. My bottom line kit was like $550. I was having CEOs of energy companies buying them from me, and all these people were buying these kits from me, and they were writing me or calling me and going, "Hey, got this kit. It's super cool. I have no idea how to use any of it."
Right.
So I started consulting from like 2010 to 2015 online, and I started a web page, but I was answering all these emails and these phone calls to all these people. And finally, after 5 years, one of my clients was like, "Hey, I don't really get it. I can't learn this way. Can I just pay you to take me out in the woods and teach me how to use all this stuff?"
Yeah.
So that's really kind of how it was born. Is finally somebody needed that hands-on training. So 2015, I found an instructor training school out in the Midwest, breezed through their program, and they scooped me up as like a satellite school. So I was with them from like 2015 to 2018, and unfortunately they didn't really promote me like they promised they were going to, and me and the owner really kind of butted heads, and I didn't like the way he ran things. So I broke back off from him and went kind of back to Colorado Mountain Man Survival. And it just kept growing, and I'm not the type of person that'll go take a class and learn a skill, and then just kind of bring it back and teach it half-assed, I guess. So instead of me teaching all the things, I started scouring the country looking for people that were experts in their field, if you will, and bringing them here to Colorado. So that's really how Colorado Mountain Man Survival got started. So I really teach the core skills: food, fire, shelter, water, the basic stuff you need to know to not die, to make it through the night. I push people out to like 7 days out in the woods with nothing and surviving off of that. But I bring all these experts in to teach more, I don't know if I want to call them advanced skills, but more focused skills that I've got. For instance, Mark DeJong with Off-Grid Medic comes in from South Carolina that teaches wilderness first responder, wilderness medicine. He's been a nationally recognized paramedic since 1998, and before that he was a combat medic, a Navy corpsman. So he's got a lifetime full of medical training and medical skills and real world training. So he's one of the best in the country. So I bring him here to teach that. I've got a guy that teaches Matt Boger. He was a Army Ranger that taught navigation in Ranger School. So he's amazing with the navigation. I've got Philip Liebel that comes up from Texas to do primitive skills and flint napping. I got Mushroom Mike Essam out of Manitou that does mushroom classes, and Cattail Bob that's up around Estes Park that's been teaching about wild plants for longer than I've been alive. And just a whole slew of people from all over the place I bring in. So that's how the Survival University came into.
So how do you decipher between Colorado Mountain Man School and the Survival University?
So Colorado Mountain Man Survival is me.
Is
is everything that I teach, and I'm kind of getting away with it from that, but because I want to promote everybody. But when I'm running my own classes or I travel to another location or whatever, that's me, Colorado Mountain Man Survival, and that's where I started out at. When the other people, the other guest instructors, or people that I've trained to do what I do, basically, they come in. They're under the Survival University umbrella.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool.
The web page is, the survivaluniversity.com, and it's just how I market things, I guess. That big umbrella encompasses everybody that works with me.
It makes sense too. Like university would be kind of like the broader school,
right?
With more, I don't know, survival vocations, if you will, kind of more specialties and different unique class offerings.
Yeah. And I got a lot going on, and really my corporate America background is what allows me to kind of connect with people, and it taught me the networking skills. A lot of people want to do what I do, the fun stuff, the sexy stuff, the coming out here and teaching people the wilderness skills or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, I'm running a business,
right?
And the fact that I come from corporate America makes my clients more comfortable. The fact that I'm not military, I don't run a boot camp, I'm not screaming in people's faces and things like that. I run really a family-friendly program that brings in all these people, and that 20 years of corporate America training allows me to run a business beyond the cool stuff that I also get to do.
Sure. How did you obviously you grew up in Cripple Creek, but I've kind of been lucky enough to run survival courses in different places,
right?
And I know that the environment completely shapes what you're able to do and the experience you provide for students. What kind of experience does Cripple Creek embody and allow students to get?
We're at about 9,500 feet. And our resources are really limited. I do classes in other locations, or I go to other environments. We'll just add, sorry. We go down to Costa Rica, so we do jungle survival training. I've done stuff in Arizona in the desert. I've done stuff out in the Midwest, but with the location I'm at in Cripple Creek, it's property that I grew up on. I know the valley like the back of my hand. I've got 70 acres of my private land that we run on, but it's a safe, comfortable environment where we just focus on skills training. I'm not beating people up. I'm not taking them on these crazy excursions, where basically you learn by fire. We don't necessarily do that. We're just an outdoor setting, outdoor school. We have an established camp, and it's just people can come in and they can set up camp. They can feel comfortable, and they can focus on the skills rather than not dying, you know. And we do some adventure trips, and we have some slightly more advanced training classes. So we're getting ready to wrap up a 50-day class. So it's all the classes that I run with myself and the guest instructors all smashed together back to back. Tomorrow we start a 4-day adventure hike where I take those students from the 50-day class and we hike out for 4 days. And they've got all their gear for 4 days. And at the end of that 4-day trip, I take everything from them, and they basically survive off the land for 7 days.
Very cool. So you start on that 70-mile or 70-acre property, like as a group,
right? And
then you hike out with the instructors.
Yeah. So that's tomorrow. So for we'll say 11 days. The last 11 days we do that basic adventure trip. So what is that? 39 days. They're, for the most part, they stay in the primary camp. They're living in primitive shelters. They're not allowed to use like gas stoves. Everything they cook to eat has to be over a campfire. They're not allowed to go out to restaurants.
Sweet.
They stay at that location, and we're just driving skills into them. And I have some challenges that they have to do along the way. And then the last for 4 days right before that the 7-day challenge, we hike out. It's a short hike, if you will. It's about 15 miles that we do over 4 days. So we take our time. They get to put their skills into motion. They navigate. I basically give them like 20 some odd nav points and tell them, you got to get me here.
Yep.
We're starting here. You don't know where we're going except for the UTM coordinates.
Yeah.
And they navigate. And there's another class coming in, and I'm basically, I oversee them, but I'm like, you have 7 clients that are coming in. You have to make sure that they don't die. You know? You're just, they're just kind of they take lead, and I just hang back and overwatch them. And then when we get our final destination, I ship those 7 clients out back to main camp, and they go about their normal lives. And then the 50-day students that are at that final destination have to survive off the land for 7 days.
And I'm assuming that you've established, because you've been there for a long time, a pretty good relationship with like the land management agencies around there.
Yeah. Well, we do everything on private land. So the people that I grew up with. I mean, I grew up with all the ranchers and everything in the location.
So it's all private. You're just kind of having this neighborhood of larger parcels, and everyone knows that you're running this school, and they're kind of stoked about it. I would
that's
assume.
the beauty of growing up in a small mountain town. Everybody up there, all the old time locals know who I am, and they're like, what you're doing is great. Yeah, come use our place.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah, it's great. And the majority of my clients, I think maybe because of what I've done in the past, are professionals. I get a lot of doctors and lawyers and people from the financial industry or IT industry, people that have the time and maybe the money to go out and adventure and go play, and they're realizing they don't know what to do when something goes wrong. And I'm teaching people all that. So it's nice teaching those people those skills, because I've had a lot of my clients, or not a lot, but I've had a handful of clients call me and be like, hey, if I had not taken your class, I don't know if I'd be here with you today.
Wow.
So running in with animal encounters or getting stuck in a blizzard or things like that. So
that's incredible.
Yeah, it feels pretty good knowing that. And plus I've kind of created a community. I get a lot of repeat customers that come in and they're like, hey, weren't you in that last class? Or hey, I saw you on social media and doing this other thing. And I've kind of started forming a family of outdoor people, and just regular people that just enjoy the outdoors. And now they get to come together and they're like, you've taken this class, let's go hang out together. Let's go on these adventures together. And they start feeling comfortable, and I don't know, it's pretty great. And
I like that you embrace the fact that you can have a modern life and also be really into primitive skills, because there's this like perception when I meet folks, they're like, oh, you must sleep on a sheep hide every night, and I bet you've never used soap before. And then I'm like, no, actually I have a podcast with like cameras, and
right?
Like it's like I can have like both parts of me where we're not ants. Like we don't have to be super specialized and only believe in one thing. We can believe in multiple things and also enjoy being in the bush and live a relatively normal life.
Yeah, we're just most of my people that come out there, and myself, I like to consider myself a normal person. I call myself kind of a bougie bushcrafter. I like the city life. I like to be able to go drive 5 minutes from my house to go to the grocery store, or if I want to go to the movies or whatever. I do normal city life stuff. And then during the summers, I go up to the mountains and I run these classes, and I bring this community of I'll just say outdoor adventurers.
Yeah.
They're normal people that have normal jobs. They live in a house and not in a cave. And they just want to go out and adventure and enjoy the outdoors. But I get a huge mix of people. I get those outdoor adventurers, and I get people. Sorry, it's
I don't know if
that's
me.
me. I'll shut that off. But this thing is nonstop usually, so you know how it goes. Probably everybody wants to talk to you. But yeah, I get all walks of life coming out. We do military training. I started out really small, just training families and whatnot. And we actually train military special forces now.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Is that through the Air Force?
Through everything. We've
Okay.
trained Marines, we've trained Air Force. I've had PJs, pararescue out, SEER cadre.
Wow.
You name it. Every branch has been out to us, and we're actually looking at ramping up so we can start bringing them more in for training. It really, when I got into doing this, being a civilian, I just assumed that everybody in the military knew everything that I know.
Right.
And they don't. I would say only about 90% of the military actually know anything substantial. Let me flip that. 10% of the military
Gotcha.
actually know any substantial survival skills.
Mm-hmm.
They mostly rely on airdrops and stuff like that, and to support them.
And if you think about it, when are they going to learn that? They come from high school,
Mm-hmm.
they get a typical education, and then they get shipped off. There's no time for them to learn hardwood versus softwood,
Right.
or how to build a fire lay, or
Exactly.
how to keep yourself warm. It's just
or what to eat, or
I'm just fresh out of high school. Like
Yeah.
that's
So the only people that really get the training that I provide are the like the Green Berets and the hardcore Rangers
Okay.
and the Navy SEALs and those guys. But I even get, like I said a moment ago, we had the SEER cadre, the SEER instructors
okay.
out at my place, and I was teaching them things.
And for people who've never heard of SEER,
oh, that's survive.
acronym.
Yeah, that's survive, evade, resist, and escape. That's the hardcore survival skill training school for the military. And I'm, from what I've seen, I'm probably teaching level 1, level 2 SEER. I don't do the resist, which is the torture part of it, and the escape, where they're trying to get away out of the being captured or whatever. My focus is on the survival part, and maybe a little bit of sneaking around through the woods.
Yeah.
But the thing is a lot of people come to me, they're really stressed about coming out to my location because survival kind of carries a scary term to it for some people. I'm like, we're not doing survival. It's not survival. It's survival training. There's a big difference. You're coming to an outdoor campus, and I'm just teaching you the skills. And unless you book a really advanced course, we're in a comfortable setting, and I'm just teaching you what to do. If you want to go hardcore, we'll go hardcore. But and even when I get the military come out, it's still just survival training. I'm just teaching them different skills that they can apply whenever they're out in another country and they get themselves in a bad situation and they need to figure out how to stay warm for the night or whatever.
Yeah, there's definitely a connotation with survival that you have to be like aggressive and gruff and mean and have all that kind of thing. And I know just from meeting you, I can tell very quickly that you're not that guy.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty laid back, I like to think. I don't know, I try to create a comfortable environment for the people that come out there, and I don't want to beat people. I've got guys that will beat you up, that will run these hardcore advanced classes, but for, I would say 95% of the people that I bring in as guest instructors are not intense. And even the intense guys tone it down because they know that it's not my client base. Right.
It's like if you come in and everyone's chill and preaching like more of like from a place of love and understanding, then it's not going to be like one guy wants to be super abrasive.
Yeah. I'll go through some of my crew, some of my immediate instructors. So I've got Ruben. Ruben used to be working the ER, but now he's a massage therapist. So, I got a massage therapist is one of my guys. I've got Jonathan, who does animal tracking in some of my primitive shelter classes. Jonathan builds maps for a living, or he edits maps, like the Google Maps that fly over. He edits those maps. Tanner is my archery and hunting instructor. Tanner works in the oil industry on a drill rig. I've got I got Hutch. Hutch is a stay-at-home dad. His wife is a teacher, and Hutch just watches over his 4 kids.
Gotcha.
And comes out, and Hutch is he's been doing this he's about my age, but since he was a kid, he's been into bushcraft and survival, and he's just an encyclopedia full of information. Some of the guest instructors, like I said, Mark DeJong is a nationally recognized paramedic. Cattail Bob, I think he's retired, but he just teaches wild plants whenever he can. I've got Jess Caldwell, who she's has a marketing background, and I don't know. I just keep running through everybody that be here all day talking about all the other people, but basically all the people that bring in are just normal people, have normal jobs that have a passion for the outdoors and have a passion for teaching and want to spread this knowledge.
And for you, you've probably got to navigate a lot of personal life with all your different employees. Like there's a lot to figure out in terms of planning and it's juggling regular life. I am single. I do live alone now, but my personal life is now the easy part, but running a business, I've got like 14 different people that come in and teach with me, and plus I'm running my own classes, plus I have to manage the finances and the web page. I wear a lot of different hats for running this business, and I got to get down into the dirt and play with the students and teach them the skills, and then I got to make sure all those students are good and okay and happy, and What's the take on food for like the folks that are living, on your campus? Are you guys doing a lot of hunting, foraging? What's the
no. So most of my classes are run during the summer, which is out of hunting season. So we can't do that. Trapping is illegal in Colorado, so we don't do any trapping. I do teach people how to trap, but we don't actually trap anything. Otherwise we'd be breaking laws and we can't be doing that. But as far as eating goes, people bring in whatever they want to eat. You get people that just bring in the MREs, the freeze-dried meals of whatever it is. And then you get people that bring in steaks and fish and cook over the campfire. Or we got people that bring in trailers, camper trailers, and they got kitchens and whatever. So it's just a mix. And most of it's dispersed camping. People will bring in their tent, set up a tent, and basically almost car camp. And I've got my established camp with a fire pit and a gas stove, and thinking, it's just almost like going out camping, and whatever you normally bring camping, that's what you bring out to my classes, and you can eat. You can eat out of a bag or you can eat like a king. It's totally up to you.
Sweet. What about on course? Like if you guys are doing something that involves more traveling through the woods.
People bring in backpacking food. So, they freeze-dried food or whatever. When we do the 7-day challenge, the last 7 days of that 50-day class, they basically survive off the land and eat mostly wild plants, because we can't hunt, we can't trap. So, but I do have tasks for them that they complete, where I give them a ration full of food for food. So, if they want to have a can of tuna, we'll say, or a cup of grains, they have to, perform some task. That way we stay within the laws, and they're still eating. I'm not starving them to death.
Yeah, it's a tough thing, right? Because there's so much regulation on what you can and can't do in the woods. It's like this concept. Well, I guess you guys might have a little bit more leeway because it's private land versus public land.
Maybe, but I don't want to push that limit. Right. I don't want to be in trouble. So
piss somebody off.
Right. So we stay within the laws that I know. So we don't hunt, we don't trap, and they perform some sort of survival task, and I'll give them a ration full of food. It's not much. Yeah. But you realize, they've got the training, and they know what plants that they can eat. I get a lot of people that ask me, can I survive off the land as a vegetarian? I'm going to tell you, in Colorado, the answer is absolutely not. Yeah, there is not enough wild plants out here to sustain yourself.
Unless
at least
you're
not
one of those ones that eats fish. I don't know, or pescatarian.
Yeah, I mean, if you can eat fish, if you can get a hold of fish, great. But there's not enough complete proteins out, at least in our environment, that you could sustain yourself long term. It's just it's not possible. You can slow down the starvation.
Yeah.
You know, eating plantains and some nuts and some berries and stuff like that. But unless you know the plants really well, and I've been kind of doing this since, we'll say 2015, and also, teaching since 2015, but, I've always kind of known a little bit about plants, but really kind of dove down that rabbit hole. And, we're looking at many years, and I still can't sustain myself with plants alone off the land.
Well, it's important to think about context too, right? Because if you think about the Ute, for example, a lot of times what they would do is, as an army, collect acorns and pinyon pine nuts and have an army of that stuff going into winter. Right, where all the plants get really scarce, the hunting becomes more intensive and less daylight. So you had an army. So when you think about being a vegetarian by yourself, that's not even realistic.
No.
It's hard to do it as a squad that knows everything about the land. You think about one person, you're not making
I imagine
that.
There's somebody out there that could probably do it.
There was that girl that ate grass for the entire year in Utah. Did you hear about her?
No, I haven't heard about that.
She went a little bonky. Apparently, according to the thing, she went missing. I think she was gone for a year. I was teaching at a school down there, so I think this was in the circles. People talked about it, and I think her words when they asked her what were you eating, she said grass.
Yeah, well, I wonder how much truth is into that.
I have no idea. I have no idea what she was at. Maybe she had MREs. Maybe she was just.
Well, I mean, it's funny because a lot of people call plants that they don't know weeds.
Yeah,
so I just
certainly there's not really that much grass down there, so it was certainly a mix of things.
I hear I pull weeds or I'm gonna eat. There's nothing out there but weeds. Weeds are just plants that people don't know what they are. Every plant out there has some sort of use, whether it's edible or medicinal or I guess potentially poisonous or a utilitarian use. Everything has a use. So for her to say I only ate grass, I feel like she probably ate something else. She was probably eating berries or nuts or whatever. But I don't know anything about the story. But
yeah, or down there's a ton of cattail. There's a lot of rice grass, tule. There's a lot of different stuff down there that maybe you would call grass. That
if you don't know what to call it, you're either going to call it weeds or you're going to call it grass, I suppose. But I need
to look more into that story because I haven't thought it. You just made me think about that. I need to get the particulars of that.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but there's the recent story in the news about the two sisters and the 14-year-old boy that last July went up around Gunnison and they were going to live off grid, off the land, and they all perished over the winter. Did you read about that?
No, tell me about it.
So I just got back from a survival hike, and when I got back into reception, my phone was just blowing up from all my friends and some of my students about this article, and it's very unfortunate. It's kind of like Chris McCandless, the situation. Who Chris McCandless is?
With the book. What's it called?
Into the Wild,
Into
I think.
Wild, yeah.
So where he didn't have any of the skills, and he basically went off adventuring, and then went up to Alaska. It got stuck behind a river, and there's some say that he starved to death. Some say that he ate a poisonous plant. I don't know what the true story is, but this family, these two sisters, they didn't like the way the world was going with COVID and whatever their beliefs were. So they decided to go off into the wilderness and live off the wilderness. Their training, from what I've read, was basically YouTube and reading some books, which is very unfortunate because, living off the land is not easy. And I wish they would have kind of made a test run before they went all in. Yeah. So the two sisters who were late 30s, early 40s, and one of them had the 14-year-old son, just basically bought a bunch of groceries and some tents and some gear. I don't know exactly. And they went up, I think it was somewhere up around Gunnison, but I could be wrong. And then just went off the beaten path and didn't make it through the winter. They found them like a month ago or whatever. Wow. Well, yeah, very unfortunate. But people realize it can be done. but you don't want to go out there just, I watched some YouTube videos and I read a book, and so I'm good. And really, TV has really glorified going off. We got the TV shows Naked and Afraid, and you got TV, Alone, and I don't know. There's a whole slew of them, and it makes it look really sexy going out. There's a struggle, but they prevail. They prevail and rah rah, and it's cool. But you got to realize that when those shows first started, they selected. I'd like to say that they kind of selected normal people. That had outdoor skills. But now those shows to push it to the next level have been choosing people that are more hardcore, that this is their way of life. And now they're pitting these, I'll say, champions, these outdoor champions against each other. And if you pay those outdoor champions are still struggling at their level, and then you got normal people looking at it going, that's really cool, I can do that. I'll watch a YouTube video. I watch them on TV. What they do looks really easy, sort of. And then they get out there and they're like, wow, this sucks. This is hard, but they did it, so I'm going to keep going. And it's the ego thing. Ego is a huge killer of man out here. It's you got people that want to summit the mountain. You got the people that want to catch that last fish. You got a lightning storm coming in, but you want to throw that reel out one more time. You got that blizzard coming in, but I just got 200 meters to the top of this mountain, so I'm going to make it. Well, people got to realize, when is the time to go, you know what? This is unsafe conditions. I need to return home, resupply, improve my skills, and return another day. There's no shame. There should be no shame in going, you know what? I'm not ready. I'm going to go home, be better, and then come back. It's athletes do it all the time.
I'm as guilty of what you're talking about. I'm just thinking about, like, wow, every one of those is me. That's what I was thinking while you're talking about that.
And I think I used to be like that until I realized, my mortality, and started really diving into the survival and the outdoor aspect, and realizing, let's say sometimes a teacher, always a student. I'm always a student, but Mother Nature is always the teacher.
Absolutely.
Mother Nature will always win. We are not going to defeat her. We are not going to conquer her. We're just going to play a part in her game.
Live with her.
And realize that if she wants to win, she's going to win. You just got to be like, you know what? You win this battle this time. I'll come back another day.
Yeah, I think that's why it's so nice to travel and adventure as a group, because you can bounce these thoughts onto other people. But for solo adventuring, it becomes so much harder, because you're hungry, you're tired, and you want to go home. You want a reason to say, oh, the weather is not good, so I get to go home now. And you want to give your brain is always looking for an out. And you have to decipher by yourself, without asking anybody, am I doing this because I'm tired, cold, and hungry? Or am I going back because this is actually the right decision? And that a lot of times is what I'm battling on a solo, is what is the reason that I'm trying to give myself an out here?
It is difficult, because our mental conditioning is the hardest thing. Anybody can learn the skills, the hard skills, but not everybody can beat that mental challenge. And that's kind of what my 50-day program is about, is strengthening people's mental fortitude. But really, that's a battle you have to have with yourself. Am I really at that skill level that I think I'm at? And the only person that really knows that is you or me, or whoever's out there. You have to be honest with yourself and check in with yourself. And that's difficult. I guess you got to realize, what point does my skill level end, and my mental level begin, and where do I draw that line to be like, you know what, I'm in over my head. And for everybody, that's different. Everybody. And my slogan, my logo, if you will, I guess my slogan for the Survival University is, what's your reason? what's your reason to be out there in the first place, and what's your reason to get back home?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's hope. What you have to hang on to hope to get through a survival situation. And everybody's hope, everybody's reason is different. Do you need to get back home to your kids? Do you need to get back home to your significant other? Do you need to get back home because you got a basketball game you got to get to, or a golf game? Do you have a pet goldfish to take care of? Whatever, you know, whatever your reason is, that's yours or that's mine. And I got to hang on to that reason. I got to decide that reason, is it going to push me to get through this hurdle, this barrier, to get to the next one? Or is that reason, you know what, it's not worth it today. I'm going to go home and take care of my pet goldfish and then come back in a week or a month or in a year or whatever and train myself in that time to get over that hurdle that I wasn't able to.
What's your
before. It's my reason now is my students, my clients, the people that come out to see me. When I'm teaching people and I'm helping them through these struggles that they're been going through, they come to me to help them through those struggles, and I see the light come on in their eyes and the smile on their faces because I push them to the next level. So yeah, my reason is other people, helping other people get past their struggle.
And I'm sure that's evolved, right? From when you were young to now.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started out with the survival, or with Colorado Mountain Man Survival and selling the gear, I just wanted to make a couple of extra bucks so I could buy the nice tent or the nice, because we grew up, we didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, I had crap gear and I had, crappy survival kits, I thought. So I started out just because I wanted to buy nicer stuff.
Cool.
And then I realized I was helping people and I was making a difference, and I was helping people get past their hurdles and just lighting up people's faces and lives and pushing them through bad situations, or helping people with leadership and empowerment and things like that. And it's a feel good for me. I guess my adrenaline rush is from allowing people to push themselves to their next challenge.
Beautiful. What's and I get this request from people anytime I have a survivalist on, is there any story that sticks out as one where you had a tumultuous situation or something you had to get through that felt like life or death?
Personally, I've done so much and trained so much that anymore that what would normally be a survival situation for 90% of the people now just becomes a training opportunity for me.
Yeah.
But in the past, I don't know, just getting stuck in a blizzard is probably my biggest story. So when I was probably in my early 20s, I got a lot of little stories that probably people would be like, holy crap, I can't believe you survived that. But one of the ones, the biggest thing that pops in my head is when I was in my early 20s, me and 3 other friends hiked out into early spring. I can't remember exact time, but it was spring. In Colorado, springtime is really known for its blizzards.
Yeah.
Right? And crazy storms rolling really fast. But we were out there for about a week. We hiked out, 20 some odd miles. And we had all of our gear on us. And we hiked out probably for like 4 days out in the middle of nowhere and camped there for a few days. And beautiful weather the whole time. And as we're hiking back, I get migraines, so I had an intense migraine, and I was just walking. All I could think of was one foot in front of the other. Yeah. My head was pounding. I was vomiting. It was, I was just in bad shape. My friends were going slow to try to keep up and helping me. And anyways, on the way back, this crazy blizzard just, you got to figure it was sunny, warm in the mountains, beautiful weather for the whole week. And then this blizzard rolls in, and I'm sick, could hardly move, really. And the wind was blowing so hard that we couldn't set up our tents. Literally, they would blow away before we couldn't do it. So what we did is the 4 of us, we set like cross-legged on our backpacks, and one of my friends had a big, like those big blue cheap tarps. We each sat on a corner of the blue tarp, and we poked a hole in the top of it, and one of us had like a little sterno cans, little fuel cans, that sat in the middle of us. And we basically just leaned forward and touched our foreheads together and fell asleep sitting up like that. And
wow.
When we woke up the next morning, there was like 4 foot of snow. So in the middle of the night, we'd get up and shake off the tarp and then go back down. So basically, we created this snow cave sort of, in this little heat pocket, and we survived the night by just hunkering down together and using our body heat and our proximity and that little can of sterno to keep us alive. And then we got up the next day and hiked out.
I have such a vivid picture in my head right now of the 4 of you like leaned in under I know the tarp because I have one. The shitty blue one that you get at Walmart. Like just
it costs you like $4.
Super heavy. Like they're like unreasonably hard to fold.
Right.
Yeah, I know the one. I have it.
Yeah, that was probably one of the most extreme survival situations I've been in. Yeah. This isn't really a survival thing, but it's really motivated a lot of people that follow me, that are familiar with me. But basically 2 years ago, I died. I was sick. I was in good health, and then all of a sudden I just started feeling down, under the weather, really sick. I thought it was just had to do with my migraines because I get them a lot, but I had a migraine that wouldn't go away for like 2 months. And I was tired, and then I started getting hot flashes, cold sweats, tremors, shaking. I went to the doctor multiple times, and they're like, "We have no idea what's wrong with you." But I was just almost like flu-like symptoms, but it wasn't COVID. Okay. They tested me for all that, and I think this was in 2021. I can't remember exactly, but it was springtime. Yeah, it was spring, I think, of 2021. But the third time I went to the doctor, they were like, "We have no idea what's wrong with you. We're going to send you a neurologist because you got all this weird stuff happening to your body, the tremors, the sweating, the hot flashes, cold chills, vomiting, headaches, severe back pain, especially in my lower back. My tailbone just hurt. It just hurt.
Weird.
So anyways, they're like, "We're going to send you a neurologist. Go home. They'll call you and we'll set up an appointment." So I get home. I've got my dog, Striker, the survival dog, Belgian Malinois, but anyways, pretty cool dog. Anyway, besides the point, I basically propped open the door so Striker could go in and out, and I laid down on the couch to because I just felt so bad to go to sleep, and I never woke up. And like 3 days later, I think my business partners, my instructors realize I'm not online, I'm not posting on social media, and I'm posting all the time. I'm always out there, and my phone is like buzzing nonstop. People are like, "What are you doing? What's your next task?" Blah, blah, blah. And I missed a business meeting. And I never missed business meetings. So my business partner called up one of my instructors, like, they were bitching about me, like, Jason's being a jerk, not answering the phone. He's probably off in the mountains screwing off or whatever. But my VP at the time was like, "Wow, he missed a business meeting." And my right-hand man was like, "Wait, what? No, that's not Jason. I'm always if I'm going to tell you I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there." So he tried to call everything, and he was out of state, Idaho. My VP is in Nebraska. Couldn't get a hold of me, so they called my ex-wife, who lives in Colorado Springs, and they're like, "Hey, Jason's not been feeling well. Nobody can get a hold of him. Can you go check on him?" She was at work. She's like, "Yeah, I'll go after work." And they're like, "No, something's really wrong. Please go check on him." So they convinced her to come check on me, and she got over to my house, doors propped open. I came inside, and I was unresponsive. So she calls 911. They come over. They can't find a heartbeat. I barely could find blood pressure on me, and told her if she had not come on her lunch break, I would have been dead by the time she got to me that evening. Oh. So they rushed me into the hospital, did all their tests and whatever on me, and told her that I had spinal meningitis. And they didn't expect me to live 2 days. So they called in my family, told everybody to say their goodbyes. Chaplain sat down with my son, went through whatever, that whole, your dad's about to die spiel. And 2 days went by and they're like, weird. He's not dead yet. What's going on? So they told him, oh, well, he's going to wake up, but he's going to have severe brain damage. So I'm like, joke's on you. I already got brain damage. So I guess 5 days later, I woke up and my sister's sitting next to me knitting, and I'm like, hey, what's up? She's like, holy crap, you're awake. But I don't know though. I don't remember the whole situation, but they determined I didn't have spinal meningitis. What I had was cerebral ventriculitis, which basically the ventricles in my skull that allow the spinal fluid in your brain, the spinal fluid that's always being produced, those ventricles swelled shut. So that spinal fluid had no place to go. So I had swelling on my brain. And I guess it was a strep infection. Somehow I got a strep infection in my brain. There was I guess they thought that maybe I had strep in my stomach, and I but the stomach acid from my stomach got into my sinuses and seeped in my brain. Another one was I had taken a brain tanning class like months before, and somehow I got an infection from that brain tanning solution. Another one was that I picked my nose a lot. They had all sorts of crazy philosophies or theories.
You're trying to figure out how the bacteria
got into my brain. Yeah, right. And they have no idea how it really happened. But so I was in the ICU for a month, and they had drilled a hole in my head. I guess I was unconscious for 5 to 7 days, and and then I woke up and I was like, hey, here I am, but I was.
You guys want to go for a hike?
Right. But yeah, I was in the ICU for a month and really weak. I lost like 20 pounds and, just was really sick still. But that infection was still in my brain. They waited for it to go away, and then they pulled that tube out. And then when they did, I got Bell's palsy, paralyzed the left side of my face.
Whoa.
I ended up being a couple weeks. But then I didn't have insurance at the time because I was self-employed, and insurance for self-employment is ridiculously expensive these days. But anyways, I was like, I need to get out of the hospital because I can't continue to pay for this. So I took care of myself at home for about a month. I had a PICC line to my heart and had to give myself antibiotics and blah, blah, blah. But after a month in the ICU, a month at home, I was like, I'm bored. I'm done. It started being June, which is my busy season. I'm like, I don't have time to die. So I went back up. Fortunately, my crew is amazing. All the people I work with, they picked up where I couldn't and started and got everything organized and continue running classes. And basically for that summer of 2021, I would just set out by the campfire and helped when I could. But I was still pretty weak. So I would teach between 2 and 4 hours a day, and then I was wiped, and I would just sit there, and my guys and my crew would just come in and take over and start running the classes. And it was an interesting thing. Yeah,
I'm just like still thinking like, is it the hide tanning thing is an interesting prognosis too, because there's a lot of serious stuff you hear about after the fact from hide tanning. I don't know, I guess I'll call it like a lack of care, just being kind of loosey-goosey with it. So, man, I wonder, do you think you'll ever know?
No, I have no idea. And I felt like the hide tanning class, we were pretty responsible. We were wearing the rubber gloves.
You didn't have any cuts on your hands? Not on your arms?
No, and I feel
it's got to get in somewhere. It's not like you can't just get in.
Freely. No, yeah, but I don't know if that was what it was. It's just a hypothesis. That's where, but that was several months before I even
It's got to be the nose picking one.
Oh yeah, I was just digging. It's
got to be the nose picking one.
We joke. Doctors practice medicine because they don't really know what they're doing. Right. I know that they go through all the schooling and whatnot, but yeah, we have no idea. But what I think I was trying to get out of that is I motivated people. Even though you go through these horrible portions of your life, you have to find your reason. What's your reason to push through those bad situations and be like, you know what, I need to take control of my life or my survival situation or my whatever that's you got a blockage, and push through it. And probably 90% of it is mental.
Yeah.
You know, our barriers are mental. It's usually not physical. Even in my survival classes, I teach people that now I'm thinking about, I can't think of how I actually put it, but survival situations or whatever are 10% skill, 90% mental. You have to get over those mental blockages, those mental barriers, and you can push through. You get over that mental struggle and you can do anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are good words to jump off with. And,
Yeah.
Jason, thank you so much for joining me. That was a awesome conversation. I learned a lot.
Great. I'm glad to be here, and thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. See you next time. Stay wild.